For the eclectic one. AKA Pat is here.
Okay, everyone, we are live. How are all of you doing? Let's get those comments like ready to go. So I'm gonna maybe like try a couple new things tonight too. Got my phone exposed there. We're going to try a couple things. When people send me comments, I'm going to try and throw them on screen, make it a little bit more interactive. The reason for that is because a lot of times I'm interacting with you, and like we don't really see the comments on any type of replay. That's a little bit of some of the feedback that you guys have given me along the way. So I'm working very hard to fix that. But hey, thanks for hanging out with me. I am so pumped to be here because I just got this with my buddy Mark over the weekend. I found this in a 50-cent bin. I got like a pretty good stack from the guy, so I worked out like a nice deal. It was just about all Wildstorm books. This guy had a really big vein of Stormwatch. He had a lot of these crossovers filled in huge gaps. Okay, so I ain't paid 50 cents. Probably more likely paid about 40 cents for this. So it wasn't until I was doing my deep dive into everything Wildstorm that I even came across the existence of this. For some reason, I always remembered this as two things: a lot thicker and more expensive. This retailed for $3.50. It came out, let's just double check the year because I don't want to misspeak. 1995. So we're right in the middle of the 90s boom. We're 2 years out of what I would consider the peak for Wildstorm, which would be 1997. So, and we have two of the hottest properties to come out of Image Comics Generation 2. J. Scott Campbell, Jim Lee, Brandon Chow create Gen13. We have Bill Messner Loebs and Sam Keith creating the Maxx. And here we go, right? We are cross-promoting. We're pushing each other's books. We are friendly. We're growing as an industry, and we're pretty much attacking everything, because to get to the level by today's standards that Gen13 was, you have to have a crowdfunding comic that's about $25 million. Okay? To get to the level of Gen13. To get to the level of Maxx, you got to be somewhat close. Both of these went right into animation. Gen13, unreleased animated movie. Believe it's directed by Kevin Altieri, who also did the Do the Evolution video by Pearl Jam that was art directed by Todd McFarlane. And then we have the Maxx going into MTV, full MTV series, I believe 20 episodes. And then we have merchandising, action figures, trading cards. In here, we are advertising the Maxx trading cards. This is what I mean about a $20 million effort, okay? Because, crowdfunding today, it's insanely mind-boggling. It's so impressive for anyone to breach the $1 million mark. But the things they're able to do with that $1 million, yo-ho, Skull Diamond in the house. What's up, bud? Hey, I'm working on your dude today. Expect updates because it's looking HOT. We're talking Gen 13, we're talking the Maxx. But yeah, the Maxx too. Okay, action figures, McFarlane toys. There's a congruency of ideas, energy, money, popularity, and access that's happening in the mid-90s when it comes to independent comics. At this point, there really is a big three. It's Marvel, DC, and Image. Now, as the years went on, the Image Eye, this wonderful thing over here. Oh yeah. Look, I said I was going to do that. Here we go. Scully Diamond in the house. See, okay, I just gotta get better with doing that. I love how that pops up, though. Isn't that cool? I just like how that pops up. Okay, we're done with that. But yeah, so we're going to get into this. Now, this is perfectly crafted in the world of the Maxx. We're not in the Gen 13 world. The only Gen 13 that's in this book clearly are the characters, the powers of the characters, sorta, the attitude, and almost like the teenage angstness, the free for all, okay, free fall, free for all. There's just like a looseness because they're teenagers dealing with this, like, issue that can actually destroy their lives, but they play it loose. Here we go. So we can just do that again right here. Like, yeah, I like it. Okay, but yeah, so let's get into this real quick. Let me just prep you a little bit on like what to expect with Gen 13. Okay, because here's Gen 13. I already did this volume. I believe I did it for my Twitter days. A lot of that Twitter content I'm working on getting onto YouTube, just available through a playlist, so like something like that. But Gen 13 was almost like the Indiana Jones, the high adventure, the fun, the frivolous, the teenage, like TNA, softcore, like porn, fun, violence. And I say fun violence because like nothing serious ever happens in this book. It's just a fun, adventurous read. This is the formula that really carried Gen 13 on for the solid, for like, I call it the solid 3 years that Wildstorm was like really rocking and rolling. Wildcats was struggling, but you had consistent Deathblow, Gen 13, Backlash, Stormwatch. Wildcats always kind of struggled. Wildcats didn't really get a stride until issue 15 or 16, believe it or not. Okay, so we got fun Gen 13. And we have to note, because I say this every time, we have this beautiful black and white edition here of the Gen 13 archives, J. Scott Campbell, right? What is with this cover? This cover never made any sense to me at all. And then what's on the drawing table? What's on the drawing table? Here we go. We got Uzi Susie. We got more over here. This is Uzi Susie, my COVID comic, getting thicker by the day, available right now on Etsy, page 5, issue 2. I was back and forth with finalizing this. I was between Uzi Susie getting shot in the back to kind of reveal how much she's changed and gained power since issue 1. But, you can get that $25 and you get a ton of awesome bonus stuff. Branded design, like branded experience when it comes to a comic book. Something very unique that I feel like I'm contributing to the mini comic book game. And then here we have Project Turtle Ninja Mutant Teenagers. This is my sketchbook that gets a ton of attention. But I put like a lot of effort in my sketchbooks. So today I was drawing Ground Chuck. I really have to finish him. I started him last night. We're doing all of this with Sharpies. I had to go to the art supply store to get some whiteout pen so I can do some of my splatter effects. This is Dirtbag over here. But we're doing all the original Playmate Turtles year by year alphabetically. Like we have year like 1990, then we have all the 89s. And yeah, this should be done soon. And then I'll be launching my next sketchbook. I also have to finish Mermaid from a year ago. I have to finish that one soon. So let's get to it. I need to wake me up inside. I'm really struggling today. I don't know why. I had plenty of sleep. Went to 2 separate locations with the 9 to 5. Took care of business. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see all these fun locations I get to. And we're drinking Mountain Dew Zero Sugar Major Melon. We're only drinking this because I just feel like I need something different. I'm kind of done drinking coffee and energy drinks today. But cheers. Let's get some Major Melon. Oh, wow, that is good. That's good. So, what do we call this? Like, what do we open with this book? Like, how would I describe it? This is a Maxx comic, meaning we have the Maxx, we have Mr. Garn, we have like a setup for a dream scenario, solution, crisis, and then we have our characters here that are just thrown into environments that they're not used to. The Maxx exists in two separate worlds, Outback and kind of like a modern day Spawn level Manhattan that is just like infested with, you know, like Crow level homeless people and that type of like grime. Okay. And then we have Tom Cooker here that again, he's heavy on photo reference. You know, you can't knock him for it. People who are always very heavy on photo reference, you can always kind of tell where there is a little bit of a break in what they can render or what they cannot. I would say probably almost there's a mental aspect. There's like a cognizant gap that's created when you're too heavy on photo reference. And there's just some things when it comes to illustration and accuracy and what's right, what's wrong, what's proper that escapes you. Now, the artist can come in and disguise that. And the poor artist can come in and make it seem very apparent. Tom Cooker here with two M's is he's right in the middle in a very like cool way, because also in the 90s we have this 90s like underground independent black and white movement happening at the same time as GEN13. He's coming from that like area, so his artwork here is just perfect for the time. This book really should be a black and white comic. It hurts me that it's not, because I don't think it should be in color. I also feel like this book needs to be a little bit bigger, size-wise, to bring you into some of his illustrations. Now, that's just wishful thinking. That doesn't affect how effective he is with this book, because he's completely capable. I would say he's the perfect artist for this. I kind of want to track down more of his stuff and see what else he was doing around this time. He is on social media, so I did tag him in one of these posts on Twitter. I know he's on Instagram, but here we go. Cool ad in the opening page here, inside cover. FX Fire, the ultimate PC fighting game. And I want to say if I stare at this long enough, I can pinpoint who drew this. I kind of want to say Matt Broom. Matt Broom, maybe? Tom Rainey. And we have a perfectly laid out establishing shot panel, midnight. I love this, like, again, weird dream roots veins going into like the silhouette of this house. We have some good positive, negative silhouettes with the trees. Now, you can make the argument we're doing a little bit too much black here for the house, but we're gonna let that go. Now we have Fairchild from GEN13 talking to her cousin, and they're kind of just talking about like a little bit of drama. And while they're talking about drama, Mr. Garn kind of comes to visit them in the real world, attacks them with the Izzies, and through that they get transported to the Outback. So it's very quick, it's very loose. I just feel like this page we needed, like, it was hard to really know what the characters were, what they were doing. This is like the most important page in the whole book, and it does fail, it does fumble a little, but it picks up. And then we have like a nice long panel here split up with these borders. So Wildstorm, never ever skimpy on the sound effects. They're a great sound effect company. Now, to prove you guys how much of a Maxx head I am, I do have an Izzy here. Okay, I keep him like near me. This is from the Claiborne Moore statue. So there you go. I know my Maxx. And so here's a little bit what I mean about when you're heavy on photo reference. Okay, clear photo reference here, but these other faces that he would kind of not have reference for, and you guys sketch in real quick and just sell the idea and sell what's happening. Guess what? It works. It's there. So a lot of times that's like how someone who's like heavy on photo reference can pull you out of the comic. You know, like it's like you're in and then you're out when the photo reference and the rendering for it isn't quite there. I would say a lot of times it's for screams and expressions. Like if someone's shocked and screaming are the two faces you never use photo reference for. So let's turn the page and boom, we are at the Outback. Like perfect, perfect transition. Okay, because look at the colors. And look, see like that yellow like creeping in, and we turn the page and we just get this impactful, these blues, greens, and yellows in perfect contrast to the darker colors earlier. And we're at the Outback. We have a perfectly placed silhouette. We have a train. We got a burnout here trying to figure out what's happening. No one can figure out what's happening, and Roxy here for the entire issue is looking for a cigarette. Because they're hardcore. Gen13 smokes, but Wolverine and Gambit cannot smoke. The Thing and Nick Fury cannot smoke. But Cooker's like styling, like his approach, the rooting for the bark on the tree, like some very nice detail. The Wildstorm coloring crew comes in and they add like another dimension to his texture. I love the trees here. I love the positive negative silhouettes. Look at the paint. Like look at the jeans, the cargo paints that Burnout has. It's like again, we're in the 90s here. Let's show off that we're in the 90s. Gen 13 trying to figure out what the heck is happening. Here is the trading cards I spoke to you about. We got a Spawn video game, right? We're rocking and rolling here. Image Comics has taken everything over by 1995. Now, I will say this, people. I'm searching for a fresh box of these to crack open for all of you. Some of the pricing I've negotiated, I've been back and forth on, isn't quite there yet for me, but this will be coming. Hey, if you want this to come, purchase some Trial by Fire on Indiegogo, purchase some Uzi Suzy on Etsy. But then here we go. We get hit with this with the we're now in this dream realm. We're in the realm where reality and walls and ceilings and floors don't exist. This is kind of why the idea of the Outback works so well within, I would say, the rhythm of the Maxx. The Outback is perfect to illustrate this idea of a dream world, calling it the Outback, having the wide open grass, the endless horizon, like the limited clouds. These are all ideas that are really perfect for what St. Keith tries to portray with the Maxx. I think when it comes to St. Keith not working on the Maxx, this is the finest piece that illustrates that. Okay, now we have this locomotive here, beautifully shaded and colored here, and then we just have we have Gen 13 like kind of saying, "What the hell is this?" Giant monkey. We have all these balloons, and then we're off to our adventure because we are. Gen 13 still trying to make sense. Night falls. They're trying to make sense of what's happening. They randomly get attacked. They start running. Fairchild trips. And then who is there to save Fairchild from the running Izzies? It's our boy, the Maxx. And look, we kind of have to say, a lot of times you hear only St. Keith can draw the Maxx. You hear this a lot. Tom Cooker here draws a Maxx good enough to continue the entire Maxx story. This is a great looking Maxx. It's awesome. The coloring, because I think because we're dealing with some bolder lines and some, I would say, random texture. Like the trees highly textured. His boots are highly textured. The faces don't match up to it, but everything's loose and dreamy, independent, and on point. And here's a trope for Gen 13. We gotta have the butt shots. But this is a great Maxx. Okay, and this is the best illustration of the Maxx in the entire comic. Fantastic silhouette. Okay, Maxx and Fairchild. Fairchild has a GRRL shirt. This is now we're talking about Girl Scouts, Jim Mahfood. Great call out here. Holla if you hear me. But yeah. So we have Cooker here really giving us a Maxx. He's giving us these like contours and these simple shapes. These shapes that we think only St. Keith can do. And guess what? This guy can do them. No one talks about it, okay? But he's rocking and rolling, and the adventure now continues. It begins. It goes on. This horizon shot here is look. We have one horizon line. We have the Maxx jumping down, Maxx turning around, and then the Maxx welcoming Gen 13 through the grass. It's crazy. It's perfect. They have to hunt down these Siamese turtles that pretty much control like reality. They drink root beer. We have another great butt shot. We have Roxy still looking for a cigarette. We have another, I mean, come on, 3 for 3, wonderful silhouettes. And then boom, the turtles disappear. Burnout and who's it? Rainmaker. Burnout and Rainmaker now disappear. See, they have a nice ball here. Could this be a better effect? It could have. It took me a little bit to figure it out. But we have rocks being thrown at Grunge. Okay, Grunge now chases the kids, and they find the whole field of kids. And now we're in this like Spawn level Manhattan, this bums alley, crime alley. Like, look at these shapes for the Maxx. It's so perfect. But we have now a different version of the Maxx. He doesn't remember Gen 13. They find him, and there's a little bit of of a back and forth. So now we got A plot and B plot here. A plot, what's happening in the Outback. B plot is what's happening in the real world with the Maxx. Max's friends find him. Julie talks with everyone, kind of calms everyone down. Maxx is still like, I don't know you guys. You guys are tripping. You better get it together. And then we have Fairchild, who pretty much also being on point, on character. She's like this also in Divine Right. She's talking to the kids. The kids are kind of giving her a little bit of an idea that they're potentially trapped. They're from around the world. They're from the real world. We have a pun here. Look at the smoke, though, too. The smoke is just awesome. But we have a pun. This kid's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm digging for China. Because he's digging for China. Okay. And then we have some exposition here. This exposition is about Mr. Garn, that there's tokens out there, relics. Mr. Garn is controlling things. He is manipulating the children. And then Mr. Garn shows up. He assembles these rock creatures that come out of the ground because Mr. Garn has control in the Outback. We have a Wildcats slag reference here. Look, Fairchild completely decimates them. And I'm sorry, Roxy and Burnout are in Manhattan. We have Rainmaker there. And then we have this full-out onslaught here. Now, it's a full-out war. Okay, we have Mr. Garn going for the win. So Burnout and Roxy have to get back to the Outback, right? So the B plot is going to continue. Roxy gets a cigarette. They find in the basement of this building, they find all of these lockers. These lockers somewhat represent portals. They find a door that has similar markings from Mr. Garn. And Roxy notices all of these artifacts. The monkey, right? The monkey from that splash page, the turtles. And she's like, wait a minute. So she takes all the relics. They get back to the realm. And, we kind of figure out that these children are somewhat like maybe like metaphysically trapped in these lockers. They get back to, to help Gen 13. Gen 13 like needs a little bit of assist. Sorry, I'm just trying to like put it together also while I'm talking to you. The relics that Roxy takes from the locker breaks Mr. Garn's hold that he has on the children because he needs something to anchor those children into the dream world. So when they're returned, he disappears. His power's gone, and then there we go. So everyone figures out that that train next to the tree is the way back home. So they keep filling up the train. They're letting these kids escape. The kids are returning home, except for one kid. One kid doesn't go. He stays. And Fairchild has a little exchange. Roxy remembers because she left her lighter. This is the portal, and they return back home to go to Fairchild's cousin. What we needed like an extra page or two just to explain a little bit more of this, and then we have the hook. Okay, look at this Maxx arm though. Like I said, like this dude understood the Maxx. He really did understand the Maxx. But the graphic design part of this final page here is perfection. We have an old Peter. We hear people talking around him that he's happy, that he's not in pain, he's unresponsive, he's going to be like this for a while, he's been like this for a long time. And then we see that inside of Peter's mind is the child that didn't return, because if the child returned, Peter most likely would die. And all of this was happening in Peter's mind, and Mr. Garn was trapping children inside of Peter's mind to hopefully take over the dream world and our reality. So this is what I mean. It's a very Maxx story. There's no Gen 13 left in this story at all. It's a great Maxx read, everyone. It really is. So I was insanely impressed, insanely happy with this. I think it's perfect. Big shout out to Bill Messner-Loebs. I know him and his wife, I think a couple of years ago, were going through something. They had a GoFundMe. I do wish them the best. Thanks for the effort, Bill, because I think you've delivered one of the best crossovers, potentially the second best crossover in the Wildstorm universe, next to Silver Age, X-Men Wildcats. So we got to kind of track this down. The Adam Hughes Gen 13 Ordinary Heroes, a 2-issue miniseries. This is part of the publishing initiative that I feel like hurt Wildstorm and Gen 13 a lot. This should have been a regular issue, but they kind of let these guys do what they want, take their time, give them a bunch of money, and if it takes them 3 years longer than usual to put out 2 issues, we're going to do it anyway. But whatever. Ordinary Heroes is on my list for us to discuss. And then back here, to really seal the impact of Wildstorm, we have the Super Nintendo Wildcats game. And we have one of Jim Lee's very best promo artwork for Wildcats and Gen 13 in all. So everyone, for Wildstorm Wednesday, thanks for hanging out with me. I highly recommend this. I recommend reading this back to back, 2 solid reads. Other than that, track it down. It's cheap. Hopefully it doesn't stay cheap for long, because I just feel like someone like Tom Cooker should get a little bit more attention for how well he was able to render a abstract, single issue, self-contained, non-bloated. The story's not bloated. It's very lean. It was very challenging. He did it in 32 pages. So everyone, rock and roll. I love you. And until next time.